welcome to episode 25 of the One Life Church podcast, where we talk about things from One Life Church, but ultimately things we think can relate to you and your one and only life. My name is Sarah Inman, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my friend, and our lead pastor, Bret Nicholson.
Still your friend after a week. That's good.
Still my friend.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
We're taking it on together.
I mean, 25 weeks of doing a podcast together, you know.
I know, that's right. You either become friends or not.
Or frenemies.
Yeah,
or
frenemies,
people that
that's
act
right.
like they're friends on air, but not really off air.
Okay. We don't do that, do we?
I don't know.
Seems authentic to me.
Yeah. See,
Okay,
this guy
good.
thinks authentic. But no, we're really excited. We've been doing, through the Build series, being able to have some really great conversations with people who are connected to our community and doing some really great things, and also just people who are a part of the community and connected to some really great things. And so that's what we're really excited to be able to talk to some friends today. And we have Rachel Mathew and AJ White on the podcast with us today. Thank you guys for joining us.
Hello.
Yeah. Getting used to the podcast, microphone, how it sounds, how your voice sounds.
Nice. I sound better on this than in my home with my dog.
Yeah.
So sounds good.
In your home with your dog? You
Yeah,
sound better?
mainly.
Okay.
That's where I am.
So if you have any speeches you need to practice, you just come here.
This is
you can practice them
quality,
here. Yeah.
rich voices. Right. It's good.
And but I mean, we kind of first want to start out just kind of getting to know you guys, know who you are, and just know a little bit about your background, kind of what you do, and yeah. So we'll start with Rachel. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Rachel Mathew, and I live downtown Evansville in Haney's Corner. I'm a photographer, and I spend a lot of time editing late work, but no, editing a lot, and shooting during the happier months of the year. So I'm kind of in my low season, and but yeah, so I do photography, wedding photography, engagements, families, corporate, commercial events, and it's really fun. So I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people have probably heard your name. They've seen Rachel Mathew photography around, and I think you're pretty well known in this area and very, very talented. And we're excited to get to learn and hear a little bit about some of the things that you do. And AJ, let's hear a little bit about who you are.
Yep. AJ White. And so I have this list of questions. I kind of joke. The hardest question for me was, what do you do?
Oh, yeah.
Is that right?
Tell us about you.
We all see all these deep things and that. What do you actually do? That was tough, huh? Okay.
Panic. No, my day-to-day looks very different. And I get to work alongside Aaron Morrison and Bill, and kind of they have a umbrella of businesses that we have a lot of fun with. And I mostly get to work with the refinery and Identity in Christ. It's kind of a lifestyle brand. Just doing a bunch of creative type things and design stuff and just a lot of different things. So
what you bring to the party on that is your creative thinking around the branding and the business. Is that kind of what they have you do? Like tap your brain just for good design ideas and those kinds of things?
She builds things, she crafts things. She actually does woodworking that's really good. So if any,
I didn't know this. So actually, it's not just ideas. It's actually you can
very hands-on.
Wow, that's
from a friend perspective.
There you go. That's what you do.
Yeah.
We settled it.
that was tough.
I'm sorry to hear that. Sounds like you do more than most of us. So it's good.
And you guys are friends. You've been friends for a while, and I know that. I've seen many pictures of Rachel's dog and from Rachel and also from AJ. So you guys.
We co-parent Ollie, Oliver, Bear, Matthew.
There you go.
She helps me when I have weddings. She comes in, is his friend on the wedding days. So she's really helpful, and I hope she doesn't ever leave the hood, which is where we live separately. She lives down in, where is it again? Is it Audubon? I forget the name.
The same neighborhood as you. No, Audubon Apartments.
Yes. And I live we're halfway between the
so it really is the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it's not. I got a little confused there. I didn't know who was joking about
meet
what.
at the fountain. We meet at the fountain. It's
you
the
meet at the
halfway
fountain
point.
But it's all in the Haynes Corner area.
Yep,
But you
definitely.
live at Audubon.
Yep.
Okay, I took a tour of those recently.
Yeah.
Very
Martin.
nice. Yeah, that's right. Michael Martin designed, and one of the more exciting places in our city that's really kind of taken off in the last few years. And
For sure.
You're one of the people that has got to actually live there. That's very cool.
Yeah. And another highlight, you guys have been helping with kind of launching and doing some things for the One Life brand. We've had some shirts that people have bought. Bret is, I thought you were wearing one of them. You weren't. Sorry. I usually wear one on the podcast.
Okay, here's a confession. I didn't know they had done that either.
Really?
I didn't know. I would have worn one of their shirts. I'm
It's been
wearing
really
the wrong
fun,
one.
like getting to hang out.
Which one did they design?
Well, I mean, they've been a part of all of them that we've had. Except I think the map was the first one that we came up with.
Yeah.
And then the Worship Love Compassion was kind of a group effort. And then there's actually a new one coming out here within the next month that they've been a part of as well.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. See, okay. No, you guys don't take offense at this, that I did not know that. I didn't,
no, that's cool.
Because I pride myself sometimes. I like it when I don't know things.
Yeah.
And things are going on that I have
Definitely.
no clue. And that means maybe we're doing something right, that there's things going on that I don't have to.
I loved being pulled into that group because it was, honestly, it's kind of like, for me, like it's kind of a small group.
Yeah.
Like to get to meet some people I didn't know from one life, and then also do what I do, photography for it. I don't do as much on the design end, but I just come and like make shenanigans at the meetings and then shoot the actual t-shirts later on. So it's like the best thing for me.
There you go.
Rachel taught me a new term, glowies.
Glowies.
Yeah, she's like, let's take some good glowies. I'm like, what is a glowy? You know what a glowy is, Bret?
I have no concept. I was hoping you would enlighten us.
Yes. Do you want,
I want you to explain. You're the expert.
Well, I specialize in glowies, I hope. I say that, and I hope that's the case. But basically, you go around like the golden hour of the day, and you take pictures of people or places with glows of the sun flaring past them. Ooh. And I just call those glowies.
Okay.
And so, yeah, they're my favorite.
Is there like a technical name, or that is the technical name?
I guess that's technical.
In the photography world, there's not a...
Ooh, I don't think it's in the photography world. I think it's more of
like
me.
the other professional photographers out there, they don't say, how's your glowies?
No. Actually, I never even used it until I was talking to Sarah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
So,
it was a spur of the moment thing. Gotcha. Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And they look great. So, yeah.
Cool.
But I wanted to highlight that as well. And it's been really fun kind of just getting to know you guys. There was one, I think the first time I met AJ, Michael, Karen introduced us. We were all at Pangea, and he's like, "Oh, that's AJ. You guys got to meet AJ." And we introduced you. We got to meet, and then we all hung out for something. And then one day after church, I was here. I think I was service leader, and you were standing over there, and I was like, "Oh, I need to go say hi." And she's like, "Oh, I'm glad you came over." And I'm like, "She's like, I want to introduce you to my friend. I think you guys would be friends." I'm like, "Okay." And then we all went to lunch that day, and it's been fun. So.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah. And we are friends.
We are.
That's right.
So.
Well,
just like Bret and I are.
Okay. Yeah, exactly like that. That's great. That's great. Well, one thing I wanted to do was a couple of weeks ago, we don't always track exactly with the messages you heard from at One Life. We heard from Eric Cummings yesterday of Community One. But the week prior, we did talk about city movements and not city movements, but building a great city and the shalom of God and bringing the flourishing of the city. And I did reference and try to speak to the art thing. I was going to do the entire message on arts, but then I thought, well, a lot of the non-artists might not appreciate that, so I kind of tried to make it a little bit more contextual. So that's why we're kind of returning to that, and we had set you guys up because we wanted to talk to people who are followers of Jesus, but at the same time they're doing art in the community and all those things. And so I think Sarah, you had some specific questions to ask about that enterprise.
Absolutely, and
I
think just kind of being a part of, obviously art is important to both of you guys, just to who you are. It's something you enjoy doing, and I've gotten to know that about you. And then being in the communities that you're in, and you guys both said you live downtown, which I know is kind of an artful area. It's definitely becoming that more and more. But how do you see that kind of art in general just kind of playing a role in our city, in our communities that we're in?
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like it's definitely encouraging people to have a bit more positive look at Evansville, especially I feel like downtown is really getting a lot of the growth and a lot of the money spent on revitalizing downtown. So I hope that spreads out and about to the other sides. But I know for downtown, even seeing outdoor spaces kind of sprucing up or giving opportunity for better walking areas that have some beautiful attention to detail, so it's aesthetically pleasing as you're outside. That to me reminds me of other cities I've really enjoyed. Mm-hmm. So I'm encouraged to be outside more, and I think when you're outside more, you appreciate where you live, appreciate meeting new people, and I like to see art out and about. So cool new murals, and hopefully we have more and more. I love murals a lot. I think that to me, when I go to cities, that's something I really notice, and I want to take pictures of them. I want to be in the pictures. I want to take people against the wall. So all kinds of use of the murals. So I hope we do more and more of that, and I'm seeing more of that, and it's pretty cool.
That is interesting to think about it. When you said that, though, that that kind of stuff is something that you would highlight in pictures that you want people to be a part of to highlight the city. So it's even it's art inside of art. So it's pretty cool. AJ, what about you?
Yeah, I say just a lot of places we've kind of talked, and it's kind of just looking at art too. You've got this whole spectrum of what you would naturally just like view as art. And she gets like kind of a neat sneak peek to like highlight some of those as she takes photos. And I know she's doing Jessica Bernardin soon. Like they're going to work on some stuff and just neat to see that. And then I also just think of spaces and businesses, and that's just really come to life kind of across the whole city. But even from coffee shops, like our friends we watch, just some beautiful spaces open up, and just learning a craft to something, and just all sorts of things that popped up. I moved back in 2014, and there wasn't a ton going on. It's kind of like right when downtown was starting to grow, and we kind of joked there was the first Friday ever in Evansville. And we went down and we invited some friends, and I had just moved back from Phoenix, and they have a big First Fridays, and a lot of people go, and you just go and you do it. And Rachel had come out and visit, and so we were pumped. We're like, come on down to First Fridays. And it was March, I guess 2015.
Yeah.
And like the sidewalks were full of ice. Yep. Like it was freezing cold. And everyone was like, I don't even understand what we're doing. Like, what do? We just go into this store, and like, it was just kind of this like, this is awkward. And we're like, you go and like, there's going to be art. And they're like, I don't get it, you know? So just like that has come a long way. It's just seeing
So
that.
you were one of the pioneers of it though. You actually showed up for the freezing cold.
Friday, everyone come, it's amazing. And they're like,
it's First Friday.
There's a lot of confused people on the sidewalks. A lot.
And they're like, we're freezing, and like, let's go, you know?
Yeah.
And so,
it's March now.
Right.
It was like 10 degrees last night. So
that doesn't help at all.
Yeah, that's right.
so
Phoenix, warm air is
exactly.
so nice.
Yeah, it makes a little bit more sense.
So it's been neat to see just that process unfold, and people understand there is art, and it's kind of just this whole environment, and food trucks that have come alongside, and there's art in that even, and making food, you know?
Absolutely.
And so just kind of expanding, like, what is art? And then how do you appreciate it? Like, do we just walk into this building and like, what am I doing?
Now that you have, we've got First Fridays that people actually want to be at, and they get it. And what kind of impact do you think art has in that way? What do you see people, now that it's gained speed, what does it do for people, if that makes sense to ask? What is so great about art when we have to do that?
Yeah.
Or, I don't know if that was on your sheet or not.
Yeah,
but,
number 3. No, I don't know. I think of it, a couple ways. One, I've been reading this book. It's called The Garden City. And he talks a lot about the glory of God and work. And I feel like art is in there a lot too, about that God's glory. Like there's a Hebrew word, you may help me on my pronunciation. It's just kavod, I think. And
that's probably right.
It carries, it just talks about, it means weight or importance. And that's that God's glory. We usually think about it as like his fame. And they talk about that. It's usually about like just his presence and his beauty and the weight it carries. And I think about that with art. It's like, it moves you, and you maybe don't necessarily even like have this whole, you don't have words maybe to go with it, or maybe you do, and it's whether it's a song or a piece of art, or a space that you're just sitting in, and there's something about it. Right. So I think art moves people, and it kind of gives us that representation of the weight of God's glory. And then also I liked what you mentioned in your sermon about how it was kind of like informative, and it helps us like put words to things when we don't have words. And I had never really thought about that, which was neat for me. It's not just like it's look at this and how beautiful it is. It actually helps us process and helps us just
it does.
Connect.
There's a get it factor, that thing that whether it's a song or a painting or whatever, it can have that effect of that gets me, and it's saying something that I almost I can't write that song myself, but that song is speaking to exactly where I am right now in life, that kind of stuff. And it tells you what you can't tell yourself. So
I love that. Yeah, I think that with the First Fridays, like how it's developing, there's all kinds of things going on in it now, and other festivals too. I'm noticing that people are like embracing the different things more than I think they used to, being downtown since like 2010 13, more interested in other types of art, like even live performers, and I guess appreciation, like not being scared of things, more like, hey, let's chill and see what this is about, you know, and like really connecting and being together out and about. Like it's feeling more, I don't know, like comfortable to be out and seeing what's up, and embracing like what could be, or what is that, or I want to know about that, you know?
Sure.
So that's been really cool.
Yeah, there's a sense in which now that I've seen, this is kind of a cool thing, and it's not as cold as it was. And I've spent the Friday night doing that. I saw something I like. Now I'm on the hunt for it.
Yeah.
And I'm open to more stuff, and so that's a great trend to know.
And other people are like thinking up new ideas. I think art does that to me. It makes me brainstorm. So I'm like, ooh, and I think of new projects, and then maybe I think of new businesses or new endeavors, and then maybe I want to include one of those in First Friday. You know, and I see other people doing that too. Yep. So that's really cool.
Becoming cultural of what people like are expecting of Evansville. I mean, it's something that you enjoy, and I think that's a question I wanted to ask both you guys. I mean, so you mentioned you moved back from Phoenix, and Rachel, I don't know if you've always lived here or if you've gone.
Yeah, I was born in Evansville at Wellburn. Okay. Shout out.
Yeah.
So 1985 Wellburn Hospital. Yeah, I think it shut down for a bit. Maybe it's done. It's done. Okay.
Yeah, it's done.
Well, I probably shut it down. So anyway, I moved. My parents moved to California when I was a baby until I was 12, and so we were in Northern California, homeschooled. A lot of good stories for a different podcast, okay? And then we moved back to Carmi, Illinois, which is an hour west of here.
Yep.
Went to high school there. And then when I was in college, my parents moved to Evansville. So I didn't really know Evansville too well. I didn't even know there were that many schools. I didn't know much about it at all. So I came fresh out of college and moved to Evansville, because I definitely wasn't moving to Carmi. And then, sorry, Carmi, you're okay for some things, but grandparents mainly.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then Evansville became the metropolitan of my life.
Yeah.
I was like, let's do this. And that's where I got my first job. And then photography, like kind of God opened it in my life, like through church, actually through youth group. And, Jessie Elsperman was my first senior I ever shot. If you guys, anyone on the podcast knows Jessie, she's the coolest. And she was a senior in the high school ministry, and that's what opened up photography, and then God really started developing it kind of rapidly. And so anyway, so now I live in Evansville. So born here, came back here.
Yeah.
It's full circle.
Nice.
That's right. And aren't leaving, I would assume. That's right. You're
not any
stuck.
plans. You're stuck.
Yeah.
She bought a house.
I'm buying a house.
Bought a house.
What?
Yeah. Yes.
In the same neighborhood?
In the I call it the hood, if that's okay.
The hood. That's fine with me.
I love
Sure.
it. So I bought it in Haney's, and it was right before things were starting to move and groove. And so now it's worth a lot more, and I feel good about that.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Well, you should.
I didn't do a thing.
I wish I would have bought a house down there 10 years ago.
I love it. I do have a security system. Different podcast, different day. Different.
So
We're lining them up. That's good. That's good to know. Yeah.
And I think that's my question. You know, I think a lot of people would ask, why Evansville? Why did you decide to stick around the tri-state area? I know that that does kind of include Evansville and Henderson. A lot of great things going on in Henderson as well, and different festivals that we've seen that people are very involved in there. But why Evansville? Like, what is it? Because I know we're close to Nashville, Indianapolis, and you know, a lot of people just going at different places in the U.S. Why Evansville?
Yeah. Well, for me, it was kind of easy coming back. Well, I was moving from Phoenix, and Rachel told me, like, hey, you don't need to move back ever because it's cool out there. But if you ever want to, like, come on back. And it was kind of a joke at first, but then it was just very specific that God was calling me to come back here. And what I've kind of learned through this process and starting business, I'm not a business person. I was a PE major, so
Really?
nothing to do with design, nothing to do with anything that I'm doing right now. So, but we started a business with my mom and just kind of this whole process of just learning, like, that in Evansville, I think it's such a great, it's not like, well, God called me here and like, shoot, you know, like plan B. It's not like that at all. It's like, I'm so happy to be here. And we've talked, I was like, it's hard to go down to like Nashville. Like people are like, yeah, get down to Nashville and this is it. Like here you have an opportunity to create an impact and to make city transformation that you won't have like in other places. And you can jump in and really watch like a city and a culture be transformed by something that you have a heart for. And that is such a neat thing. And it like gives you confidence too. It's like, I feel like, I would love to do this, but like, you're not going to go down to a big city and be like,
right.
Here I go.
I'm glad you said that. I was part of a panel a couple of years ago with, it was called the Q Conference. And there was a young person that stood up and asked, why would I stay in Evansville? And the response that, it wasn't me that gave it, I wish I had, but it said something very similar. He said, you can go to one of those other cities and it's fine, it's great, but if you really want to be a part of shaping something, you have a fantastic opportunity right here in the Tri-State, whether you're in Henderson or Evansville, either way, you can actually be a part of it. Because you guys it is funny to listen to you talk about the First Fridays. Now they're a thing, but you remember that awkward beginning, but you got to be a part of something that's now shaping the culture and impacting, whereas probably wouldn't have happened in Nashville. It's already kind of been done. They're kind of the things in flight already. And again, you can make an impact, but there's a few people trying to do that you might get lost in the sea of it all. So
and you get to enjoy it. We've been down to other cities and talk about things that are happening here. They were like, we're so jealous. Like we don't even get to go to a coffee shop and sit down and enjoy it because we're so packed with people and there's just so much happening. We're not actually enjoying the things that are
That's
are
really
here.
interesting. Everybody needs to hear that.
We need to go to Evansville.
Seriously.
You do, absolutely.
We were talking to two
sounds
girls.
like a dream.
Was that Nashville? Yeah. And there were these cool hip girls at a really sweet shop that had amazing apparel. And they were like literally drooling at the thought of us being able just to go into a coffee shop and sit for like a long amount of time and have a table and have a plug in,
Right.
And I was like, oh man, like it was really good for perspective. But so as far as me real quick about why I'm staying here, I just truly feel like God's given me such a sweet place of friendship and business opportunities, and my home that was another God story. I'm like, it was very divine. And so I just see him in a lot of like the hand of blessing on certain things and so it's really obvious for me that I want to stay as long as he wants me to stay. And so I'm super happy being here, very content, very excited to see like what's around the corner like every day. So I love it.
Well, I'm glad you introduced the calling thing into, because I did want to ask you, and I don't think we gave you forewarning on this one either, because one of the things I've always had a heart for with artists is the Christian world, as it were, was the leader in this thing a few centuries back. It just was. I mean, because it was part of how it was Europe. It was, the Shakespeares of the world and just all that. You name the great artists, they were either Christians themselves or they were living inside what's called a Christian framework. But that hasn't been true now. And I think, Rachel, you mentioned that you were exposed to your photography in a church context, but I don't know, AJ, have you ever struggled with integrating your faith with art, or known people that have, and how did you overcome that if you did, or have you yet, or maybe I can provide counseling or something? I don't know. You understand the question is kind of, I've seen artists struggle with that. I'd like to feel like they have to choose one or the other.
I'll speak into that a little bit. And from a business perspective too, if your art.
No, that's even better.
Yeah, it's like, so we were redoing furniture and design stuff, and there was a coffee shop in our store. And so just bringing people in, it's like, what do you put on the wall? Like, and do people know, like, I want people to know our heart, but how does that happen? And I think, and again, I'll promote this book again. Go read Garden City.
Garden City, there it is.
Hey, John Mark Comer. But he talks about too. It's like, we're Christians and we have a skill that God's given us. Like, how do we share Jesus in that? And whether it's art or whatever it is. And he talks about people that are making handbags. It's like, do you put John 3:16 on your tag? Do you? And it's like, I think you just make really good handbags. And so that's like for me too, it's like just really developing your craft. And so people see kind of that it's the beauty behind the beauty there. And there's that weight to it. And maybe it kind of gets them to think like, wow, there's something different. I don't know, just a question. And maybe it's, you got to share your life with people too. So just for them to get to see that you are putting everything you have into making what you're doing very well, to reflect, the beauty and glory of God. So,
and I'm glad you said that, because that's the dilemma. I think that if you're a musician, you feel like you always have to write directly about Jesus, or if you're a painter, you have to. you have to include a little fish in the corner, and and do you have to do that? And my answer is directly no, but you gave some kind of basis for why you say that, and it's important for artists to know that who you are as you walk in Christ is going to come out in your craft and in the quality of what you do and the care with which you do it. Because if you really care about people and you care about the Lord, you're going to do something that is a great handbag or is a great business for that matter, and great art.
I feel like too, like through photography, I at first thought it was going to be just a function. Like, okay, I take this thing and I snap this picture and I edit it and I give it to them. And it's just this function. But like, I really saw how the Lord was opening up opportunities, even at like actually a lot of times at weddings, which wedding days are, again, can be thought of as like this really stressful experience that everybody's glad is over, kind of, or spending so much money and it was crazy and it flew by and I don't remember any of it type of thing. But during the wedding day, there's so many opportunities to like talk to people and connect with people. And that's been where I had looked over my shoulder and been like, man, God keeps doing that. Like now I'm almost 9 years into it. And it's like some of the best memories I have were really deep connected moments at weddings with one person or a couple people. And they'll ask me like throughout the day, getting to know them and establishing a fun relationship. Towards the end of the day, they're like, what is it? There's something about you. Like you've got something. There's like a joy or just like your charisma. Or it's your personality. It's your personality, Right. And then, but it opens up like a conversation to be like, so how'd you get into this? And I'm like, this is totally testimony material of like truly like, I'm thankful like where I am and what I'm doing is all by the glory of God, because I have a biology degree and I thought I would go into medicine, but that was because I thought what I thought was success. And so like I was pursuing that originally, working for a doctor locally, but doing ministry like 3 or 4 days a week. And that's what I remember. Like there was a girl in the high school ministry that tough times financially and couldn't get senior pictures. And I was like, that's dumb. Like, I have a camera. You're fun. There's an ice storm outside. It was the ice storm of 2009. If anybody remembers it, history buff over there.
I do remember it. I went door to door to check to see if people were living during
I took a high schooler out into the dangerous iciness.
In a Toyota Corolla.
Basically a sled. And so anyway, point is like, that was what started the photography like realm. And then through over time, that I was able to leave the job I had and open up a photography business, and it sustained me. Like, and so that's been what I've been doing ever since. But I see God in it, and I see through the conversations, through the friendships that are formed and lasting friendships, and how what God will do from point A to point B in those. And so anyway, I feel a ton of contentment and purpose in it, and excitement to see who I would meet tomorrow, and that's what I really like about it.
Yeah, well, that's amazing, and I hope that there are artists out there who will be inspired by that thought. What would that look like for me? I'm
for sure.
That absolutely.
It's kind of similar to something Eric Cummings said yesterday when he taught, and he was talking about people saying like, "Well, I was doing this ministry thing kind of on the side, but it didn't really count because it wasn't for the church."
Right.
And you're literally saying like, "I was doing this job, but I was kind of doing ministry on the side." And now it's like, but art can be ministry. Yeah. It is ministry, and you both said that in different ways, I think. And it's something that we just want to continue, and being able to share that. I mean, it's one of our values. We believe in artful creativity. We try to even when we're thinking about the shirt designs, it's not just putting words on a shirt, but what's something people would actually enjoy wearing, like it's something that it gives an opportunity for you to be proud to wear. So,
and what's like the best thing we can make? Yeah. That's something I really like about the design I've heard at the table at those meetings is like, let's not just make something. What is the best thing? Like Erin Morrison is always, pushing that. Like, she's like, it has to be the best, and I'm like, cool. Yeah, let's do that.
That's right. You can get there.
But real quick, Bret, I liked what you said earlier about like trying to inspire maybe people in our church too, younger people towards what are they supposed to do. That's something also that's on my heart. Like when I get to meet younger people, like especially seniors in high school, when I get to do the shoot, I'm like, so what's your major? And like, what are you going to do? And, just getting to know them. And I love the idea of encouraging people and like figuring out what is it that you consistently want to do or love to do or are kind of good at, like trying to see if that's something maybe God would open a door in their life and not just go down a successful pathway, which I think college is cool, but like there's a lot of different ways to get to what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Oh, there's no question. Yeah. Especially now. I mean, the world's changed a lot with internet and all the rest. There's lots of ways to get lots of places, and don't limit yourself to the traditional things that, especially as artists, if you, and God can use and does want to use, because in my mind, he's the first and original and ultimate artist. And so we just reflect that glory. Speaking of, one of the reasons that we did the podcast was we wanted people to know what was going on in our community because it did struggle several years ago, back in the days of the trying the first Friday for the first time kind of stuff. So from your vantage point, you guys see things because you live in Haney's Corner. You get around, but what are some things that you wish everybody in Evansville knew was going on?
AJ?
Artistically.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's still kind of, it's growing. I know I've heard even just about some galleries that like popped up down by Pangea. I need to know the names of all of these. There's one.
There's a gallery by Pangea?
Yeah.
See, okay.
And
well, thank you. I didn't know that.
Peeked in the door the other day and it's just, it's well done. And that's,
right.
Something I've always talked about. It's like, well, try and do things and like we're working on it and we're like, that was good, that's progress. Right. And I looked, I'm like, it looks beautiful in there. It was just really well set out. I know the Arts Council just opened up a new space and
people are doing a lot of, they're exploring more ways to use outdoor space too, which is so fun and cool to me. And it again inspires me about being here in Evansville and wanting to like enjoy Evansville and not escape to other places. But they have actually the Arts Council has a rooftop area now too where you can enjoy and like have a cool view of Main Street. So they're putting money in like outside aesthetics as well as inside aesthetics, and it's just, I think you can't go wrong with that. And again, it goes back to doing things in a quality way where people can be inspired and feel good about where they live and then invite people to come see it, and maybe that would inspire them to do something on their own. And I'm seeing a lot of people doing that where I guess they saw the pioneers doing things and have now sprouted doing their own things. And so, as far as like cool things going on, definitely First Fridays. Haney's Corner has a ton of other festivals throughout the year. Cherry Street has an awesome festival in June that is humongous. What is it called? Is it called?
It was the Old Town.
The Old Town Market. Yeah. I'm not sure I think it's still called that. But anyway, stuff like that. I think those get the community out and about and meeting new people and seeing what other people are doing that maybe you weren't aware of because we don't know. I don't know how I don't know about certain things. I don't know a ton either. I know my little corner of the world, and mainly me and my dog.
We thought you did. That's why you're on here.
Not a lot. So anyway, I'll try. There's cool businesses sprouting up everywhere, and I think the more we get to put ourselves in other environments, we'll be like, oh man, on Franklin Street, I didn't even know that this place happened and this is happening. So I think going to places will help you know about new places. So getting out of the house. Get out of the house. Seriously.
Okay, first step.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. I think like even, David Rudabaugh down at White Swan is like, he brought in John Mark McMillan and was doing a lot of neat things. And people are like, I didn't know that person was here. Or like, just some neat musicians. And it's like, part of the challenge is just getting people to know and
that's exactly
to show
right.
up, and it's like, I wish I would have known.
Yeah,
that's right.
There's another festival. This is not me doing a plug for myself, but like a couple.
It's okay.
Okay, cool. Not this last December, but the one before, which sounds bad because I didn't do it 2 in a row. But there was a Haney's for the holidays that like AJ and I put together, and it was in my little side yard, which will be a future photography studio and something else.
Oh,
stay tuned. Different podcast, different day.
Got 3
that's
bunches.
3 now, 4 now.
Schedule
Okay,
those
good.
now.
We've got, okay. But that's in the future. I just paid off the land, praise God.
Nice.
So the next step is to save money for said thing. So anyway,
Haney's for the holidays?
Haney's for the holidays was the event. And then, so then they did it again in this last December, but it was a different group that took it over. And then we're all going to join up this coming December to do a big Haney's for the holidays. So it's kind of gotten bigger and bigger every year. And so this December, get ready. It's going to blow your stockings off.
All right.
There was like a whole orchestra in there. I didn't know what all was happening.
Really?
I'm like, side yard. And we're like,
I know.
this is amazing.
We did things that probably weren't approved.
Yeah.
It was for
Christmas.
Christmas.
It is for Christmas.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah. So that was like a plug for way ahead, but just another thing to look forward to.
Just keep your eyes
people out
open because you never know what people are. Literally.
Well,
it's been neat to team up. And again, David
And you guys
Rudabaugh,
came up with this? And
And David Rudabaugh helped, again with music and just a lot of people that we knew kind of showed up.
It got big.
We worked with Uncharted.
It was
yard.
just
That's amazing.
You never know when people are going to sit around a table and come up with an idea.
That's right. You never do know.
And just do it.
It may happen
Right.
any minute
Make
at
it
this
happen.
table.
even if it's not approved.
I love that
We
you
got a
were
fire.
saying you were saying that that art, people will do art or do something,
Yeah.
and then other people see it and they're like, man, I love that, and they take it to another level, and it just kind of keeps continuing on. So I don't think every artist wants to kind of inspire people, but I think every artist would want to inspire more people to keep creating art, and obviously we're seeing that happen. So like even with this idea, you start with one thing and then more people kind of get connected, it becomes something else. But honestly, it sounds like it started with the opportunity of like, well, let's do something in our community. And I think that's always kind of, someone has to do it, right? I mean, we want to, and we can't just say we want it to happen and not actually be part of starting that. And so, which is a good segue to something we want to kind of talk about before we wrap up today is worship at the hall. And that's something how long has that been going on?
Since October.
October. Okay. So for anyone who doesn't know what that is, give us kind of a brief.
Oh, I thought you were going to. No.
No, I'm going to let
I
you.
did too, to be fair. Yeah.
She
It looks
really
like you're up.
ramped it up.
She did.
Yeah.
No, we just started doing, basically it's like a community-wide worship thing. And it's kind of been a swirl of different dreams and visions and prayers and people and conversations that's happened some far back and some more recently. For me, kind of my story in it, I lived out in Bellingham, Washington also for a year. And I had come back, I had got to experience kind of this community, and it's just a very genuine worship. And I came home and was like, we have to have that, like somehow, somewhere. And I knew nothing about downtown Evansville then. It was 2012. And I would just walk around and be like, where's a building downtown that looks cool that you could put a bunch of people in,
Right.
And I kind of prayed that for a few months, moved out to Phoenix. It was kind of done for the season. And then when I moved back, it was like, game on, here we are. And just like started praying about that again. I'd have conversations with people. It's like, I really desire that too. And maybe it started kind of as like a young adult thing. Like maybe we have this space for young adults in this awkward stage of life. You're not in college. You're like, it's just everyone's on a lot of different levels. But we just desired to have this worship. And it finally was like, we'd had conversations and we could never figure it out. Like, well, we think this and we think this and we think this. And then it was like, And Jake Freimiller, one time we were sitting at the refinery. I was like talking about worship. I was like, I just really want to have this worship thing. And he's like, well, what needs to happen? I'm like, just needs to happen. I don't know. Somebody just needs to do it. And he said, well, let's do it. I was like, okay. So we just kind of, sat around, and then he and Caitlin, we were in the living room, and we just started worshiping on our own and just kind of planning and just gathering people. The point is to have, when you would walk in the room, you don't notice that that's like the One Life worship team, or that's the city church worship team, or it's like you walk in and you see like, you don't quite recognize where everyone's from. And that's the beautiful part of it. And just kind of had some inspiration, like United Pursuit. They do some worship nights down in Knoxville. And we were like, we don't need to go to Knoxville to experience this. Like, we have a lot of really amazing people here in our city. And what if we all got together,
Right.
And we did that on a continual basis, because it's like, it's always awesome to do that. And you're like, this is amazing. See you next year, And
Yeah.
so just to do that on a regular basis. And there's just been a lot of hard things going on in our city and businesses and church and just in the world. Like, we're living in a world of division. And so to meet together, I feel like when we worship, a lot of times walls just kind of fall down. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and so that's happened since October, and it's the first Tuesday of each month. And where is that at right now?
Right now. So we started at Preservation Hall in Newburgh. That's why it was called Worship at the Hall. Mm-hmm. And right now we're meeting at old refinery building, or if you've been around before that, the Newburgh Country Store.
Yeah.
But we're meeting in there, kind of open the doors up at 6:30 and have coffee and all those fun hot beverage things that people like. And then a little happy half hour. And then we start worship at 7. So.
And it's something, again, where I love that you said that, like it's not like, well, that's a One Life team or another church team. Like, it's just people gathering together and responding in worship and just in the community. So it's something that's happening. It's something people can be a part of. And I love that. I love that you guys have started that and keep an eye out for that and be, is there a place they can follow kind of to find information and what it is?
Yes, on Instagram. That's all I got. So it's just the handle, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that what we're going with?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
You're looking for the wrong person.
I want to call you out. Is it a handle?
I don't know. I have Instagram guilt because I don't do
Brett
it
still says we tape things, so let's just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's @ worship at the hall.
Okay,
So-
worship with the hall. Awesome.
Sweet.
Well, and I can say this because I have been to a couple of them, and I also have guilt over missing tomorrow's. It's Monday when we tape this, and I have to miss tomorrow because I plan it. When my wife finds out that my plans made us miss it, that's not going to go well for me because she loves it and always we need to go. So, but when I went, the first time I went, I thought, people need to know about this because it is this gathering of people from around the city, especially a whole lot of young people. And the thing I walked away with is things are going to just get better and better and better around our city because this kind of thing is going on. For me, that's the root of it all. I know there's a prayer movement going on among pastors, and I know there's a worship movement going on around with young people. I mean, we can't lose. I mean, it's in my mind. And so it's amazing. I'm so glad you took the leadership on that. Way to go.
Oh.
I'm playing the cajon tomorrow. So
I heard about
you're
this.
sad.
Are you really?
I'm sad you're not gonna.
I know. And now my
that.
wife's really gonna be upset
I'll be
when I
back.
tell her that. I'm just
Don't
going to, I'm not even going to tell her you're doing that.
Don't mention it.
Don't.
Don't.
Yeah.
We had you on the xylophone, but
Is that right?
Brett, you were up.
I guess we'll
I was up.
didn't know.
So I guess that means that for when this podcast comes out, the next one people will be at will be April 2nd.
Yep.
Would be the next date that you can join
Nicely
the worship
done.
at the word. Yeah. But man, all this always goes so fast and we're just having conversations, hanging out with people. And I really enjoy being able to hang out with you guys and learn more about just some of the things that you've seen and that you're passionate about. And I'm just thankful that you guys are part of a community that's helping just make it better. And we want to continue doing that. So thank you guys for joining us today and just talking about some of the things that you're involved in. Appreciate that.
Thanks for including us.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's kind
Absolutely.
of like a sit with me campaign.
Yeah.
Come be on our podcast campaign.
And
I'm
you
into
also
it.
planned at least 4 or 5 more podcasts for
I
us,
have
so.
at least 4 to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, the
content.
count.
Yeah,
I think
with
did get
content.
four or
Actually,
five.
keto, that was another one. That's 6.
6,
So-
yeah.
Okay,
We'll talk
yeah,
about
the-
that another time.
Rachel's Adventures with Keto.
Yeah.
Yes, that needs
The
to be
one
its
day.
own thing.
Try to make an acronym, but yeah, okay.
Awesome. And make sure you check out at Worship at the Word on Instagram and just kind of look for things that are going on in the city and be a part of those. Continue maybe even starting something. So it's a great opportunity for that. And thank you guys. If you have any questions that we can pass along for anything that they've talked about today, you can email us at podcast@onelifechurch.org and we'd love to do that. Brett, anything you want to let us know about coming up?
Coming up is, first of all, Austin Maxheimer is going to be talking. He's been on the podcast before,
Can't
and
wait.
he's with Community One, and he's just been burning up with a message about neighborhoods that it will be good for everybody to come see him burn up for something, and that'll be awesome. Everybody ought to be fired up about that.
Brett, I've learned a ton of things from you and I love learning from you, but I have sat under Austin's teaching for a while and it's one of my, I don't know, like a mentor to me. So I'm very excited to see him actually teaching on the stage and having some confidence to do that.
That's right. He would do it more, but he claims to hate it.
I know. I always tell him he
but
needs to
then
get
I'll
over
push
it.
him every now and then, and because he'll say, "I'm burning up with it." I'm like, "Go ahead, go for it."
You got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for watching, listening, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the One Life Church podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, go ahead and subscribe. That way you'll get an alert anytime there's a new episode. If there was something that you heard that you really want other people to know, share it out on social media. You can use the hashtag #OLPodcast. To ask us a question here at the podcast, you can email us at podcast@onelifechurch.org. I'm one of your co-hosts, Sarah Inman, and I produced this episode. Our music is produced by Micah Robertson and Ben Brock.